All right. Hello, guys. We are back here to do some expert content for you guys here live. And just kind of show you, I'm going to be playing this tournament throughout the weekend. This is my main account, and I am kind of forced to play expert, so I figure people, may ask. But, I don't regularly play the game, so you can see that, keeping up with coins and actually getting through divisions, I'm very slow to do this. So you can see I'm an expert too, but I'm doing this basically for the clan. I told the clan they want to make a push towards top 100 this next season here, which ends in about another week. So I told them I'd try to do what I can to put together some points here. So thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. You can see that this is going to be an expert guide here. And I'm just going to basically use, a relatively advanced bag and go over some advanced shots. This is the way that I'm going to be playing through the weekend. And I don't quite have it dialed in yet, but I have the mechanics of basically what I want to do. So I'm basically just going to kind of give you guys kind of some guidance, and you can kind of, if you haven't already decided yet, you can make the decision whether to go master or to go expert here. I do think this is a good setup for you guys to do master. So if you want to try to make the leap up, I do think it's a good tournament because the par threes are very challenging. So with that being said, a lot of the scores are going to be bundled in there. And, if you make one or two good holeouts, some clutch shooting, you could really put yourself in a favorable leaderboard position, potentially even win. Even with, some of kind of smaller clubs, because they've kind of set the wins up relatively fair speaking. It just comes down to a little bit more perfect ball timing and shot execution more than anything. So, I'm about to get underway here. One brief thing that I just wanted to mention, if you hadn't seen my post in Golf Clash Notebook, which is the Facebook group, I'm trying to get help for one of my friends who is local here and has a band. She's the lead vocalist, and I used to work with her. So I've known them since about right around 2013, before they were even together as a band, and they were just, playing in the school where I used to work with basically some other teachers' influences. And, part of the reason, if you guys like my content, one of the reasons that it's so good is because of kind of where I came from. So I just wanted to kind of briefly, real quick, just go to Facebook here. If you haven't seen the post that I put inside the group here, I did just want to go ahead and find it in here. It is right here, and here is the link. I'll make sure to list this for you guys in the content as well, or if somebody can just copy that text down and get it into the comment section. But I'll do what I can at the end of this video to put that link in there. This is in the Golf Clash Notebook group, and I'm just trying to get as many support for them as possible, because if they win, they get the opportunity to showcase a local music event here in Baltimore, which would be really awesome opportunity for that. And I'd really like to help out. And you guys have already been really great. They are really kind of neck and neck here as to who's going to win this thing. So the group's name is Eben Nova. So that's who we're looking for. And if you guys can support, I really appreciate it. But without much further ado here, I am going to get underway, and we're going to go over some bonus content for you guys. So I'm going to do all 9 holes on this stream and basically just go over all the shots that I'm going to be doing throughout the weekend. I kind of have a good idea as to what I want to do. There's one hole, hole number 9, I'm kind of on the fence about. there's kind of two different ways, and I just started doing kind of a new method on hole number 9, and I want to see how dialed in it can get. It's a shot that is kind of wind dependent. It's going to be a little bit more favorable for guys with 14s than it will be guys with 11s. Yep, I'm live. So thanks for showing up, guys. And I'm going to do my best here to get you guys kind of on track for kind of a more advanced guide. If you guys need basic tutorials, I will show you in the Golf Clash Notebook app. If you haven't seen, I will get you guys to those guides as well. What I've been doing here is about Epoch 6. So this is kind of like Epoch 6 spin here. This is the max that Epoch 6 can do. Been doing pretty close to max here, maybe just a touch of overpower. You can see I'm about 3 rings from the edge here. And other than that, I've been doing essentially max club. So for me, that's going to be 7 rings. So here you're going to see I'm going to go 7 rings. I'm going to use max curl. And I'm also, you can see with what I'm doing with my power, not very much. So just a little bit of a shaky needle. And this is fairway specific, so, I don't know how it's going to roll out, but I do know that I want to make sure that it's short of that rough up there. And, sometimes it kind of scoots along and really takes off. And other times you can see it kind of checked up there. It didn't really quite roll out. So I tried to, the worst thing that I could possibly do there is probably drive it into the rough. Yep, I am live here, so... Just, I told you guys that I was going to do some bonus content for this week, especially for the ones who, have tried to reach out in the Golf Clash Notebook group there and try to support my local friend here, kind of as a payback for you guys helping me out there. I'm trying to do some bonus since I will be playing this tournament for the clans. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can play this shot kind of how you want. There's a backspin shot with a thorn. I feel a little bit more comfortable with the dunk. I'm going to play this maybe about 2 per ring here. Maybe just a little bit less than that, 1.9 or so. You can see it was kind of towards min club. So I'm just going to try 5 rings here, just a little bit more. And let's just see what this looks like. Perfect ball. And sure enough, right in for eagle. So that's my preferred method to go about getting that eagle on this hole. You can do a thorn full backspin shot. It's very tough to play the wind effect. So I'm just going to kind of try to dial in that min club shot. So that's what I'll be doing on that one. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Next, hole number 2. Okay. So I have a method of this as well. So I'm going to use these new arrow balls if you guys pick these up. Aside from that, so I haven't done this with Guardian yet, but this is what I'm going to switch to because it has extra range and still quite good on the accuracy. So I am switching clubs here just to get a little bit extra range. One of the things that I've been noticing is top spin is kind of crucial for this shot, and setting the exact amount that you need is really the most important thing that you need to do. Thanks, guys. And thanks, everyone, for showing up here. Let's see if I'm first here. If my opponent gets it, looks like me. So as I mentioned, I have not tried this yet, but I kind of know what to do. So as I mentioned, it's going to give me the opportunity to have just a little bit more range, and I only need about 2 topspin. Other than that, I'm going to play my ball guide offset, which is about a grid or so, right around here. And you can see with what I'm doing with the bounces, I'm going to play essentially 1 per ring, but I may go an extra 10%. So I'm just going to try, which is just kind of a guess at this point, but I'm thinking somewhere maybe just a fraction more than 6 rings here. And let's just see how that works and see what it looks like here. But you can see, it does require some topspin. It looks like I'm going to need to go just a little bit more, but that's something that you can work on and get just a little bit more dialed in. The Guardian in general is 1.2 per ring. So I'm playing it essentially a little bit less than 1.0 per ring, about 0.9 per ring. So significant overplay. Still wasn't enough there. So, you know, I'll just make a minor tweak there heading forward into future rounds. But you can see more or less what I'm essentially going to be doing. And then come weekend time, for example, I'll probably, you know, throw on an extra 10% to that. So if I throw in another 10% adjustment and, you know, essentially play it 0.8-ish per ring, that's what I'm going to be doing. And you're also noticing that I'm not using the Golf Clash notebook. You know, we are going to be losing the overlay. I just want to kind of, you know, at least for a tournament, just try to back away for that. So if you guys saw, I really didn't use it too much, very little. So trying to go back just a little bit, just to kind of gently kind of get you guys back into the, you know, method of doing it a little bit more using your sheets or something, just a little bit different, because it's going to be important in the upcoming weeks, April 22nd. So thanks, guys. Thanks. So one of the things for this hole, you know, there was a comment up there about quarterback. So drivers actually have a faster needle. The needle moves faster than a wood does. So a wood is always a better option just for perfect ball timing because the needle's slower. So I do just want to make, you know, kind of a brief comment on that. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15-20% slower. It's significantly slower. So one of the things here I'm going to do, I have my Apocalypse on. I'm going to show you, you know, this is the way that I'm going to play it once we get to the hole. So I'm going to kind of just show you kind of my strategy. This is the only opportunity you're going to have to make it. And what I've been doing on this shot, I was hoping to be able to show you guys, you know, that's more or less the shot that it's risky because you could leave it in the sand. But the reason that I'm going to do it is because it's going to give you the possibility for a hole-in-one. So I was going to show you how it plays out, but my opponent forfeit. So let's just switch my bag up. I'm going to go just a little bit more normal. So you can see here with a Kingmaker again. Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for showing up. Only the Sheps, yep. I wonder where Jeff Shepard is. Probably at work. Nope, he's here. So now look, it's looking like I'm going to get a replay here, as slow as this match needle is. Oh, wow, over 100 people in here. That's pretty cool, especially since I didn't schedule it. And it's the middle of the day in the East Coast. I guess overseas it would be kind of people just getting off work. That's funny if that's true, Jeff. So this is pretty close to how I've been playing it. You can see very light on the curl. And other than that, I utilize full side spin. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for showing up. So another thing you can do is power 4-ball. I really don't need it. It's not absolutely necessary on this one. I am going to do it on hole 5. what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of press the bounds a little bit on how much topspin I can go. So I keep just kind of gradually adding just a little bit more. Now, one of the things that I'm also going to do is I'm going to angle this wind just a little bit beyond to make sure that it doesn't land short. So you can see with what I'm doing with my needle, I'm pulling it up this way. Other than that, I play pretty much max rings. So almost 7 rings here for me. And as I mentioned, very little curl, perfect ball. So it looks pretty good. It actually kind of checked up on the fairway. It didn't get that little scoot roll out. So it is going to come up just a little bit shorter. But you want to avoid kind of over top spinning it, because you can see that I kind of got the slower version of the rollout there. So what you don't want to do is say, oh, I can go more top spin. Well, then if you get that scoot version that rolls along the ground, it'll probably roll through into the rough. So you want to be a little bit careful of that. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the comment in there with the shout out to the post. If you guys can find that post, or if somebody, Jeff, if you could post the link, comment the link for that post, that would be helpful to me. I'd appreciate it. I can't do anything till after. I tried to find it on my computer. I can't find this stream. So I'm sure I'll be able to find it as soon as I close this down, but right now I can't find it. Zapper, yep, I don't stream. I do not live stream very often. This is pretty unusual for me. You know, I really don't, you know, this format really doesn't fit into my channel too well. I don't find it very useful because it's really hard to go back and find the holes and shots that you want. So I don't do this very often, but I'm doing it here for you guys today. And I'm also going to give you an extra 9 on Friday as well. So if you want to look out for that, I'm going to do 9 more on Friday. Now, if you can see what I did with my ball guide, I offset it slightly. I'm going to go almost max rings here. This is just a tiny bit uphill. And because of that, and this fairway's also kind of a little bit all over the place. It's very hard to get this on line. So you can see pretty good effort there, but it just rolls over the edge. So I use almost max there, which would be, you know, 1 per ring-ish, because I am pulling a little bit back from max, but I'm also offsetting that ball guide. Now, one thing that I did mention that I wanted to, pretty good. Yeah, thanks for showing up here, guys. One thing I did want to mention is if you are looking for the, you know, more basic content, there is some in here. You'll just have to go to the guides and, you know, click on those guides right there. They'll give you all the YouTube guides for all the holes. I did want to just briefly touch on that real quick, even though I was in match here. There it goes. There it goes. So hopefully I get back in. I'm assuming I would. So that's why I just try to do it real quick. But I did want to show you guys that if you guys have the app. Otherwise, you can find them in the Golf Clash Notebook or on YouTube. I set up playlists where you can basically search my playlists. So all you have to do is go to the spot that says playlists, and below in each playlist, you'll see expert, master, pro, rookie, and they're divided. You'll find all the guides sorted in there. So that's an alternative way if you guys don't have the app. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Now, I did want to try to show you... Oh, I might not be able to do this. Yep, I don't think I can do this. And I'm just going to go ahead and forfeit out this one. I was going to kind of give you guys a little tidbit of that shot. I'm just going to go ahead and just kill it. It's not a big deal. Very tough shootout hole. We're about to play it right here. I was going to give you guys just a little kind of... introduction to the shot that I'm about to do. Now, what I've been doing is power 1 balls. Thor's Hammer 7. You can also do it with probably a 5. Accuracy is going to be a little bit different, so your rings will play just a tiny bit different. I would say you'd probably have to go, if I had to guess, I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of, if you were doing this with a Thor 5 or a Thor 6, I would probably try to go maybe 20% less rings, maybe 30. Somewhere between 20 to 30% less rings than me. So what I've basically been doing is 1 per. It's pretty much almost exactly 1 per on, because there is some downhill component, but there's also, you got to keep in mind that this is a straight tailwind. So straight tailwinds actually have more wind effect. So you'll see that you'll need to do some, overplay. So I actually pulled down all the way to min club. It's essentially touching min club. And a min Thor 7 is probably supposed to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 1.5-ish per ring, maybe 1.6. I'm not 100% sure. It's probably somewhere around there if you were to pull up a ring chart. However, me playing it at 1 per, it's telling you how much of an overplay I'm actually doing. So 6.1 wind, I'm going to go 6.1 rings. As I was mentioning, if you had a Thor 5, Thor 6, you could still do this. Otherwise, you probably don't have enough topspin. And, this is, I don't think it's going to be extremely makeable either way. But, you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage if you can't execute this shot. So it's something to think about if you are thinking about going into the expert tournament level. And here you can see I'm going the 6.1, and I'm also going to make sure not to, make sure that you're very centered. Oh, come on. You got to be kidding me. So it should still hit the bunker, but I'm just assuming that it's going to deflect offline a bit. I thought I had that timing down, and that's pretty much the shot that I'm going to be going for. I am using, it's called AZ Recorder. I've also paid for it as well. It's like $2 or $3, but it removes ads entirely. I like it. And it also has good voice quality and video quality as well. So I do really like this screen recorder. So if you were thinking about getting it, do keep in mind the ads are a little bit more annoying. They're a little bit more intrusive than DU Recorder. So, I don't mind supporting, good companies, good business. They put out a good app. I'm going to support it. So I threw in whatever it was, $3 to get rid of ads permanently. So I am going to practice this because I really, I still don't know how to play this. So until I figure it out, I'm just going to give this a try here. A little bit of curl. Oh, come on. Great ball again. So both great balls. It looks like I pulled too many rings. I was a little worried with the downhill nature of that shot. Didn't seem to play too much. That's not going to be too good. Just wanted to see kind of how it would work out, but I also adjusted too many rings. So I got to be just a little bit, that was my first time ever hitting a Thor's hammer into that. So I just needed to get a reference point more than anything. And I was worried about it kind of rolling down the hill. So you can see I over adjusted. I don't expect to pull out this win here, but we'll see. Ooh. So just didn't carry the bunker. Just needed just a little bit more. I wasn't paying attention to a spin. I don't know if it would have rolled out or not. What's the other widget? So this is just the YouTube icon. It just shows that it's for mobile. So guys who don't use OBS, who don't use the computer to do their stream, they have this little icon here. You can see it's quite invasive. You can actually see it has that taskbar along the along the top there. So much better for me to close it down. But it just kind of gives you all the finer point details. Now, what I'm going to do for this one, if you guys have Hammerhead 6, Hammerhead 7, that's what I'm going to recommend. Otherwise, you can still get away with a sniper. So don't worry too much about that. Now, what I'm going to do for this one is just position it out here in the fairway. I pretty much use the max ring adjustment, but I don't use overpower. So whatever your club is, I essentially, just kind of stick to the basics. If it's 1.5 per ring on your Apocalypse 5 or 6, then I'll use that. I'm going to have to go a little bit extra on this, but you can see I'm using the Power 4 option, and essentially I'm using perfect full Apoc 5 topspin. So I'm essentially modeling an Apoc 5 right here, pretty much exactly. Other than that, I just play max rings. So as I was mentioning, whatever your max ring adjustment is, mine's just a shade over 6. So I'm going to go almost 6.5 rings. Be sure not to add any extra overpower, so you can see with the way that I'm doing the positioning there, just to be cautious. I don't need to get to the very edge of the fairway. So it's really not a priority that I go any longer than this at all. Even this, you can see I got the good version of the rollout though. It didn't check up and it rolled out full. So I want to make sure that that full rollout is still going to stop before the rough, which it did. Yeah, Matt, it's risk reward. You got to make sure that it comes out of the sand. You don't want to turn that hole into a par. But if you want an ace, that's going to be the only way to do it. I really don't think it's feasible any other way. Ooh. Okay, so I did get a little aggressive on this drive. It's actually going to make this shot a piece of cake. So if you guys have been struggling with this one, fear no worries. I kind of hit a shot to make this a breeze here. So all I'll need to do is essentially go max rings, which for me is just kind of 1 per, maybe just a little bit more for wind effect. Other than that, just playing it, semi-casual, not trying to do too much, just trying to get it up here for an easy pitch. I don't want to risk going left, so you can see that I wasn't even really curling it. I'm just trying to avoid the sand on the right and falling off the hill to the left. Nothing else really matters to me. As long as I'm in the fairway there for an easy pitch or an easy dunk, that's all I'm looking for. So all I got to do, get this right on the front of the green. I should have enough accuracy here to even great ball this. So that's more or less what you want to do, is just kind of get it on the front here. And sure enough, there's a great ball. So it does pay to have just a little bit better accuracy clubs, and also, the more advanced wedges. So it just gives you that extra out on those makes. You don't have to worry too much on and I find those needles, especially the wedges, I find them to be more jumpy, the way that they react. And I don't know why that is, but I find them to be more jumpy than even a driver. So there you guys have it. Very straightforward, easy. I made quick work of that hole. That's going to be a hole that, you just don't want to get par or birdie. And that's one of the main reasons that I brought the Power 4, is just so I could focus on precision. And length doesn't come into the issue. I don't have to go into overpower. And I can just set up there. I would not do a power slice. I mean, it's not saying you can't, but it just seems unnecessary. What you're really not going to get up there. And what if you miss the fairway? What if you don't get in the fairway? Do you really want to put it all on the line and give yourself a rough shot that you potentially won't make it to the green, or a bunker shot that you won't make it to the green? I don't think I mean, you could see how straightforward and simple that I played that. It even works with a sniper shot. If you guys saw my basic shots, I did get that with, the sniper and kingmakers. So it's just a luxury of having the extra balls if you have them. It just makes your life that much easier. You don't have to do anything risky whatsoever with that shot, and just keep it within your means and just pick up the eagle. That's the most important part. So here we are, hole 6. And again, topspin does make this a little bit easier. You can do this with big topper as well if you don't have very good apocalypse. Apoc 5 is really all you need. Well, I mean, you could do this with Apoc 4. It's just going to require a little bit less precision because Apoc 4 and Apoc 5, they play exactly the same. If you're not going for distance, they play the exact same. So there's no difference between Apoc 4 and 5, unless you're going into overpower, then distance and accuracy becomes the only thing that kind of change. So anything that you can do with a 4 or a 5, you can do with a 4, vice versa. And also, you only need, you can see where my opponent, I believe he shot with an Apoc 5. So you can see with where he got it down to, it's, I'm essentially using Apoc 5 spin. I don't need anything extra. Other than that, I've been aiming maybe about 6 rings over. So over here, if your accuracy is not quite as big as mine, you may want to go 5 rings. Other than that, I've been playing pretty close to max. So I'm going to play 8 rings here. 8 rings, no overpower, full curl. So you can see we just kind of get it over here. I would have liked a little bit better rollout, but for all intents purposes here, that should be good. And I should be very close to the min line here. So I'm a dunk guy. We're going to be going for the dunk. It also prevents you from rolling down the hill. It looks like my opponent also went for the dunk. I guess he either overplayed rings, underplayed rings, or great balled, one or the other. Because I'm assuming I'm not playing a replay. Very, very little chance that 2 guys at this stage eagled this. So it looks to me that he overplayed the rings. I would have not gone that many rings from that spot. So he probably hit perfect ball, and it was just too much. And it looks like he almost just barely short hit it as well. It looked like it was going to land right on the right edge of the cup. So here you can see very close to that distance there. And, for me, I play relatively close to 4 per ring here. Maybe just a little bit less than 4 per ring. So you can see with what I'm doing with my aim, just outside 2 rings, just barely, but you can see 2 rings actually catches the edge of the cup. Aside from that, it's just kind of putting this in the center. Oh, come on. I can't believe. So I called a great ball. So you can see it's going to shoot it out. Otherwise, it basically comes down to perfect ball timing. I'm pretty sure I had that one. So a little unfortunate there. And I just feel like that needle sometimes just lags a little bit. And, that's just the product of one of those little laggy situations where it just didn't want to move quite as fast as it does other times. And you never know which version you're going to get. Are you going to get the one that kind of swings over the target, or are you going to get the one that's just kind of slowly, gracefully getting there? So you have to kind of, play your shot for one or the other, whether you're trying to anticipate the timing just a millisecond fast or vice versa. So let's take a look at this. I just want to see, how possible this is. I haven't done too many shootouts yet, so I just want to just kind of look at this one. I usually play pretty close to max, and I just want to see. So max for me is at least I got to go 6 rings for sure. Plus you can see how much I'm going to have to short hit this as well. But as I mentioned, since I haven't played enough of these shots, I do want to just kind of practice it here. Should hopefully just catch the edge of the bunker. Nope. So I didn't short hit it enough, but you can see my line looked pretty good there. It looks like I just needed to short hit that just a tiny bit more because it looks like it landed kind of right on the top corner and just missed the bunker. So going to be a loss here. There's no way my opponent lost to that. Even if he dumps it in this bunker, should still win. So, why I'm on the subject, as to kind of why I still want to kind of try to figure these shootouts a little bit and kind of get my math down. One of the things that I'm thinking about is the club ranker. If you guys have seen that option, the club ranker in the Golf Clash notebook, I'm going to have to be doing that. But, I need to know enough about the course, so I'm just still trying to study the course and figure out kind of the ins and outs of all the situations, what's possible, what isn't, stuff like that. So when I go to build your guys' club ranker, I get the right data in there. So, if you've tried looking for that club ranker for this course, it's just not set up yet. It's going to take, about a week. It all needs handwritten, and we need to do all the cases and, figure out kind of situations where you can kind of get away with things. Like, for example, the bunker shot there, that might be the best shot. So, we need to kind of be thinking about that when we're setting up our weighting of how we're going to rank the clubs. It needs to be factored in as kind of a top priority for winning that shootout. But you can also see with the Power 3 ball, the risk factor involved with going for that shot. It's a much tougher shot to do. Yeah, no, it is not. If you guys didn't notice, the gem miner's already gone. The club ranker's in where the YouTube guides are, so that's where you find it. Instead of clicking on the YouTube guides, you hit the club ranker, but the only one that you can't find is this course. We don't have this course built yet. So what I've been doing on this one is kind of playing it through the hole and kind of, you can see with what I'm doing with my ball guide, just kind of offsetting it a bit. Other than that, I play just a little bit whatever under the wind is. So you can see 7.3. I'm going to try to go 7 rings. Perfect ball. So it looks like it landed just a little bit short of my line, but you can see I'm right in front of the hole. It just came up a little bit short, which means that, I needed to get it to just land just a little bit higher. So you may want to just rotate the screen just a little fraction more, so that way that you keep the adjustment from being too flat towards the bunker. What I'm going to try to do is kind of angle it up just a little bit higher away from the sand, so it actually lands on the same plane, but it lands maybe 1 ring farther, because 1 ring farther there is ideally what I want, where I want the ball to land, because you could see that it just kind of checked up and landed just a little too close to the bunker. Yeah, I would imagine that would probably help, Jeff. So did I draw a live? Oh, I did draw a live guy. He's gonna have trouble getting out of trying to get this eagle on this one. Yeah, wind 5 in the bunker. You can see I'm not using a wind 5. I actually like having the wind up a little bit higher. Ooh, man, that would have been a nice save. I actually like getting that wind up just a tiny bit higher because it actually kind of helps me a little bit. So that's why you see that I'm not going with the wind 5. It's going to kind of create just a little bit too small of a wind, that the wind isn't going to play enough, that the ball might not check up as much as I want, and it might roll down the hill. So that's a little bit as to why I'm just kind of sticking with the Kingmaker there. I kind of like having that extra headwind, just kind of stopping the ball a little bit more. Now, what I'm going to be doing on this one is, if you guys saw my channel, I did Kingmakers on both other attempts. I showed you how to lay up with a quarterback. I showed you how to do it with an Epoch. I'm going to go with the more aggressive shot. So, with that being said, I've only pulled off being in the fairway one time. It's very challenging to do. You can still do this shot with an Epoch, with a Kingmaker, but just to make my life just a little bit easier, I'm doing it with a dead ball. So if you have the ball option, otherwise you'll have to go full max over power to replicate this with Epoch 5, Epoch 6, Epoch 7. But you'll see that I can get much more up into this nice landing area. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And right around 5 topspin seems to be the money spot, but I've only hit this fairway one time. It's actually a relatively hard thing to do. So what I do is essentially max-ish rings, so right around 6 some rings there. I do use max curl. I feel like I just need to go maybe just a little bit more. So I'm going to go just a tiny bit more to the right here. Other than that, I am going to be able to back away from the power. So you can see I'm only going into the orange now, which is just going to help me with my perfect ball needle. You can see it barely crept over there. Let's see if I can get it to hold. Hopefully it does. Oh, so very close. That last a little bit of left that I put was just a little too much. I moved it like twice there at the end. If I would have just moved it one quick tap, that would have been perfect. And great ball right would have also worked. You don't have a lot of room for air there. But I have, the one time I pulled it off, I had a B52 into the green and I did make it. So I do think that getting up there is going to be a little advantageous. And if you guys didn't see with my Kingmaker, I was over here either in the rough or the bunker, and I also made it. So you can find that on my channel. So that's why I like that shot, because it gets you up there close enough that you still have a chance. So you don't have to worry about being too precise, keeping it in the fairway. And it just kind of takes away all the unnecessary risks. The only thing I have to avoid is make sure that I don't hit that rough, which you could see that I almost clipped on the first hop. So it is close to maybe 3/4 club. I would probably play this about maybe 2.1-ish per ring, typically. I'll also put my ball guide up through the hole because it's going to condense down a little bit. Other than that, I also use some ball guide offset, so you can see kind of with what I'm doing with the needle, kind of playing it through. Other than this, as I mentioned, right around maybe 2.1-ish per ring, I would say. So a shade under 4 rings, I'm thinking. And perfect ball, it's going to give me a chance. Let's see how it comes in. Oh, too much. Too much. It is also very tough landing on an upslope like that. You have to be so perfect with your ring play. I mean, it just has to be spot on. It's very tough to play those type of shots, because the little fractional difference when you land on this face up here, it has the ability, especially coming in at kind of an angle, that it's just going to kind of deflect off to the side a little bit. So it is very tough landing on those hills. I never like landing on those upslopes. It's very challenging to make those shots, but can still be done. So best thing that you can do is just kind of use an adjustment that works. I'm not sure if I've been to that rough. I think I was in the sand when I made it. So it was kind of my first look at that from the rough there and from that spot. But I can use that information for when I get back here next time. I could say, oh, I over-adjusted last time, so I'm going to use 2.5-ish per ring, for example. So I adjust less rings. I would have only adjusted 3 rings. It might have had a chance to go in. So that's all you want to do on these first couple days, is basically just kind of dissect the course. That's what the best players do, and how they get through these and do it at such a high degree level is essentially memorize cases like that. If they get to a certain spot and they know what they did, if they get to that same spot again, they can make a minor correction on that one spot and hopefully make it next time. So that's the same kind of mindset that you want to have when you're playing through these. Know what didn't work and then work to fix it the next time through. A nice shot there. I will not be streaming my opening and weekend rounds, but on Friday I will do 9 more holes for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. 9 holes on Friday. I am going to just play this one. I want to take a look at the driver shot. So, not sure that I've ever even done this, so got to bear with me a little bit. But I do have kind of an idea. Probably be pretty close to max ring. You can see I just kept off being max on my spin. And I'll be pretty close to max, maybe just a tiny bit under. Just a shade under 6 rings with some curl. And not enough curl. And still, it is stopping just a little bit short. But the overall line's pretty good. It seems not too bad. Tough to beat that one, especially with the wood. The biggest problem that I have with the wood is trying to get it through here perfectly. So you can see these 2 parts of rough and bunker. You basically kind of have like a 1 out, If your alignment's perfect, then perfect ball is your perfect. But you can see with the Cat 5 here, if my opponent great balls this and their alignment's just a little bit off, I don't expect this threading through there. So you have to be very perfect with your technique here. So here you can see great ball, and let's just see how their alignment is, because look at that. That's straight up through the middle. It's actually better than the shot that he was trying to hit. However, distance control is still another possible, challenging thing to do. So you can see that it actually rolls through just a little bit too hard. Hey guys, thanks for checking in and making it to this stream. I have 1 more hole to go, guys. So I'm going to show you, there's 2 ways that I've been doing this. I've made it, if you guys saw the way that I did it on my channel for the guides, I've made it that way 3 times. I'm actually going to be deviating away from that. I'm not sure if I like this shot more yet or not. So I'm still kind of studying it. And it does provide a very nice opportunity. It's basically taking advantage of a glitch in the game and using it to your advantage. And the glitch is, if you guys aren't well aware of it, anytime you point up to high ground, the trajectory of your shot changes. Same thing with going into the low ground. If you've ever pointed into the water, you'll see that the ball doesn't carry as far. It's essentially a glitch. However, when you have a cliff course like this and you put it on extremely high ground, the opposite happens. The ball carries way beyond anything it should ever be capable of doing. And that's what you can do on this hole, is you can point it up so high up onto the cliff that once the wind actually affects it, the wind just takes it a mile farther than it should, because you point it up to the high ground and the arrow's pointed and then it doesn't land on that high target and it falls down to the lower target. So it just goes forever. So there's essentially a glitch to essentially inexpert be able to get it to carry. I would say it carries almost 500 yards. Probably at least 475. But I do still really like this hook shot for those guys who do it. Like, as I mentioned, I've made this 3 times already from the rough. I haven't been in the fairway yet, but it just comes down to perfect ball timing. If I can get my perfect ball timing, all I've been doing is 1 bar of left spin to bend it around the pin, and I've hit it into the pin twice. And on my channel, you guys saw that I think dunked it on the 2nd or 3rd hop. So I've made it 3 times, and it is very straightforward. However, with this one, I'm just going to kind of point it up on the high ground here. And I'm actually going to, I don't know what to do with this side spin. I'm thinking bring it back to the right. I have not perfected this. I'm going to do essentially a Pak 5 spin here. You can see that I'm just pointing way up on the cliff, but since it misses the cliff, that's the key. So since this ball doesn't hit the cliff, it just carries a mile. And I'm almost worried that I'm actually going to one time hit the fairway, like actually land on the fairway. If that lands on the fairway, I'm worried it could go out of bounds. So I'm half tempted, depending on how large the wind goes. If it goes back here in this water, if you put all your top spin on it, I don't know. It could. But you can see how far it carried. All I need to do is perfect that curl. Keep in mind, there's going to be subtle wind direction differences. The last wind that I just tried that on, it was pointed more to the left. What does that mean? That amount of curl that I did was about perfect. And that's what I was trying to kind of use as kind of a guide. You could see that wind was just a little bit more straight, so I actually needed more curl. So judge, if you're going to try that shot, judge how much curl you need based off of what the wind needle is. You'll have to see exactly, precisely the direction that it's pointing. That's the most important thing. Because if it's pointed more left, I just used enough curl. If it's pointed straight like it is, I needed about double the curl. So these are things that you need to be thinking about if you're going to pull off that shot. However, as I mentioned, going my other way, if you guys do it that way and just go for that Amazon backspin, I've made it 3 times so far. So even to deviate from that shot almost seems ridiculous because of how much that I've been able to make it. Now, what I'm going to do is just a little bit something that I know about distances. So this is right around maybe 7 per ring. Right in here, and I'm going to pull even farther back. This is going to make it maybe about 9 per ring or so. Other than that, I just want to make sure that I stay off the glitchy spot, so you can see that I'm kind of deviating from the glitchy guide. I think it's somewhere around maybe 9-ish per ring. So you can see just a little bit more than a ring. Perfect ball would probably give me that hole out. Grayed out gives me no chance. So, I was at least lipping that one out with perfect ball. So, very straightforward. All you got to do is get over into that rough, get your perfect ball, and get yourself an albatross, or at least, at the very least, it's going over the edge of the cup, lip out, if you're very careful with your ring adjustment. So not the best opener or, opening round for the qualifier here. But, slow and steady. That's kind of all you need for a qualifier anyway. So few times qualifiers come into play. It usually comes down to your opener more than anything. Now, let's just take a look at this. So I have no idea how to do this with a with the globe on. So just to get an idea of the ring play, you can see with what I'm doing with my spin, I'm thinking somewhere around maybe half a bar or so. And I'm going to play at least max here. So I'm even thinking, you know, maybe 13, 14 rings, somewhere in there. Let's just see how that looks. It's like 13, 14 rings. No overpower on my pullback. So be careful on that. Looks decent so far. Let's see if it checks. Not bad. We'll take it. So just trying to get kind of a reasonable estimation as to the speed and just kind of how these are working. As I mentioned, I'll be building those club rankers. So I still do want to, you know, practice some of these shots so I can get a good feel for how they play for all situations. At least if I get a general sense of the winds that are tough, the winds that give you an opportunity. As you can see, this was actually kind of a favorable wind. It actually really brings, what it lets you do is it puts some backspin on so you don't have to topspin it. And that's the key to stopping the ball, is not having that topspin on. So anyway, guys, I did see it pop up in the chat. The Ebenova, if you guys can take, you know, just less than a minute of your time, it's free to vote. If you're in Golf Clash Notebook, all you have to do is find my post. Otherwise, you know, it's been buried in the comments somewhere here as to where to find it. It's also in Golf Clash Notebook. It's also in the video that I last posted. So if you guys just fast forward time and look at my last post from yesterday, I put a video up with the link. I put it in the comments, and I also put it in the description. So if you check both those spots, you can just click on the link, click Ebenova, and that's all that needs done. And I really appreciate you guys' support. Thanks for coming out and watching this stream, guys. Hopefully you guys appreciate this content and liked what you saw. And be on the lookout for Friday. I'm going to give you guys 9 more holes. So good luck with your rounds. Let me know how it goes, and take care, guys.